Hey, Michael Lake here, altobone.com. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the relationship between the left and the right side brain and the influence that they have on improvisation. I produced a video last week about musical flow and how that comes from strengthening the connection between your musical mind and your instrument that results in a more musically satisfying improvisation. Now, you'll have to watch it to see why I aimed a full-on garden hose to my head in order to make a point, but I provided exercises on strengthening the connection between your right brain and your instrument that results, I think, in more musically satisfying improvisation. Your right brain is the creative side. It's emotion, it's intuition, it's things that are not analytical. Your left brain, on the other side, literally, or left of your brain, is the rational side. It's math, it's analytical problems, it's problem solving and such. And I thought of an interesting way to illustrate the role that each side plays in your improvisation. Right? Your right side is characterized by musical flow. You're not thinking and you're not analyzing. Music is flowing and being amplified through your instrument. And for me, that's where I'm at my best. The left side of your brain comes into play when you're improvising, when you're talking to yourself. You're aiming for scales, you're aiming for pre-planned patterns, you're constantly evaluating, what you just played and anticipating what you're about to play. You're not really reacting to the rhythm section and the sounds that are going on around you. For me, that's when I'm at my worst. Now, if your style is to think and plan as you play and insert pre-planned licks and direct each note, as you play, this video may not be for you. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just a different way to consider improvisation from the way I think of it. But if you're struggling to get the spontaneous musical composition out of your instrument, that's what I want to help you with. Now, when I'm in flow, we're not thinking and evaluating while I'm playing. I'm creating my most satisfying music. When I slip into left brain dialogue thinking and start artificially planning what I'm going to play or start beating myself up for, just now playing something poorly, the real music stops abruptly. It feels like a door closing. So what I want to do in this short video is give you a demonstration of that kind of oscillation between left and right brain during improvisation and what goes on when you play. And one of the things going on in your brain, in all of our brains, by the way, is the talk that we conduct to ourselves in our mind, right? Think about the effect of that internal talking we do in our mind when we're having a conversation with somebody. And you're thinking about something to yourself while they're talking. The deeper you are in your own thought, the less you're paying attention to what the other person is saying. There's no way I'm truly listening and can engage in any kind of conversation. And that's partly why you may have trouble initially remembering names when you're first introduced to somebody. What I find is that when they're giving me the name, I may be talking to myself about my initial impression of them or what I'm about to say, and I don't hear the name, right? So let me demonstrate this in musical improvisation. And to do this, I've created a mind reading app that does two things. One, it hears and projects your internal dialogue. And two, it maps where in the brain you're drawing from at each moment as you improvise. The brighter side of the brain, the more influence it's having over your improvisation. Now, to demonstrate my app, I'll play over some B-flat rhythm changes, and I'm going to exaggerate the clutter in my mind so you can more clearly see what could be the result of the goings-on in your brain as you play. So it's something like this. All right, don't make me go next. Oh, he's pointing at me. All right, B-flat, 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 B-flat. That's it. All right, just repeat that rhythm. All right, don't screw up. Oh, come on. Let's turn around, go back to B-flat. Come on, that's lame. All right, the bridge. What the first key in the bridge is? No, not that. Oh, what do we got? G, C,
sucked.
Now, obviously, that's not a real app. You know, my lawyers told me to come clean. But once I do create that app, I'll be doing these videos from my private island in the South Pacific. Notice that the stronger the internal dialogue or thinking was, the more mechanical or poor my playing became. Right? Once I calmed down the self-talk, the music started again to flow. And I know this because I experience this myself and I hear it from others. Let me give you 3 things that you can do to reduce or eliminate your internal dialogue, that thinking that may be getting in the way, in order to better hear what's going on around you and to allow for more musical flow through your instrument, right? Reacting more spontaneously to the music that you're hearing. Number 1, recognize that you're doing it. I mean, since you're talking, planning, sense that you're talking, you're planning, evaluating, criticizing, and so on. You're not a bad person for doing this. We all do it, but by being more aware of how it's affecting your playing, you can start to eliminate the bad effects of it. And by the way, not just improvisation. I mean, you could be out in front of an orchestra playing a concerto thinking,
Oh, I didn't practice this enough. I should have worked harder last week. The music director's never going to hire me back.
Number 2, to silence some of the self-talk, consciously direct your focus on some specific aspect of the music with which you're playing. Playing with a rhythm section, maybe focus on the bass. Now, don't evaluate the bass. Just listen and hear the notes. You might be surprised that just by focusing on that one aspect of the rhythm section or other element of the music, the internal dialogue quiets down and you gain back control of your musical flow through your instrument. You're back into that creative right brain. 3, when you sense the dialogue coming back and overtaking you, because it will, it's not like you're going to figure this out and never have it happen. It will come back. Don't compound the problem by condemning yourself. Instead, go back to step 2, find something around you in which to focus your listening without evaluation. I think that listening to something is the opposite of that internal dialogue, that internal thinking and reasoning and evaluation process. In fact, do it right now. Pause this video and focus on a single sound you hear right now in your room or wherever you're listening to this. Any sound. Just listen and don't talk to yourself about it. Can you do that? How long can you maintain that? Now, if you're thinking right now that without your constant thinking and direction and evaluation while you improvise, you'd be lost. What do I play? All right, well, first of all, go back and watch some of my videos on what to play over changes and to develop this flow. Especially the video with me aiming the garden hose at my head, you might be a little surprised that with a little practice, how well you can project this kind of spontaneous musical composition that your mind is producing through your instrument. And in that video, the garden hose video, I give you some good exercises to help you with that. So experiment with this, let me know what you find, and if you're like me, you're going to sense a big difference between the music coming from the right side of your brain and the left side. And by quieting that internal dialogue and evaluating, that evaluation that occurs with that, you give your ears a better chance musically of doing what they're meant to do as you improvise. Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.